Hello, this is George Sandman. I'm the founder and CEO of Growth Drive. And Growth Drive is a system used by business advisors to drive client profits, growth, and value. Now, we're also a community. Every week we get together to talk about all things business advisor, everything clients, cases, things we're seeing out in the world. Now, tune in here to this podcast, and you can join the conversation by scanning this QR code, passcode 867-5309. Jump into the conversation. Everyone's welcome. We're looking forward to having you. So here we go. On with the show.
Good morning. How are you?
Yes, I'm now behaved.
I am now behaved. You know, a difference of climate. You're in a t-shirt, a shirt, and a hoodie because you are not in heat advisory land.
It's going to be 100 today, but I've got it 66 degrees in the hacienda, baby.
That's what we're talking about. Technology, always 72 at the office, right?
Fat boys like cold temperatures.
So since last we spoke, what's up?
Oh, just more work. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Mike.
Say hi to George.
Hi,
Steve.
George. I don't think we've officially met yet.
We have not. Great to meet you, man. We have officially smudged my glasses, though.
Uh-oh.
That's how erudite this conversation is going to be. Where in the country are you?
So I'm just north of Atlanta.
Nice. Oh, I'm just south of you.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah?
Yeah, Steve, by the way, it's a short drive to the Growth Drive Summit. Hey, Joseph,
I know. I saw that.
here in sunny and beautiful Charleston, South Carolina. So, Joseph, how are you this morning?
Well, thank you. And yourself?
Doing well, thank you.
Hope everyone's doing well.
Good. Hey, Joseph, you coming to the summit?
I'm not sure yet. I will do my best.
Joseph is a busy man.
Like everyone's busy. This is different.
This is different.
So if you come, do you know Bob Goldsmith, Joseph?
Bob Goldsmith.
He has not met him.
So he's a really, really awesome guy and a national investment banker guy. So this is a formal invitation. If you come in early on Saturday night, those of us that are early are going to go have some fun.
Are we? Okay.
We're definitely bringing Sid, and George may come along.
There we go. You know how to. There you go. You just set the fun meter.
Hey, Sid's awesome, man. She's great.
It is. Thank you very much. I happen to think so myself.
Yeah. I just want us to go to eat someplace I can hear her better, because I was across the table at that place,
Mm-hmm.
and 15% of the conversation was really fun.
Well, we will have some fun. We will have some fun for sure.
Yeah. No, I hope you can make it, Joseph. It's like some of us that are working on some bigger stuff are getting in a little bit early to do some strategizing, as they say.
Strategizing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
strategery.
Strategic. Say with no grammar.
God bless it.
So why don't you ping me, Mike, and let me hear a little more about it?
All right, I will. Bob
Thank you
wanted
very
me
much.
to come in early. Bob started this.
Bob Goldsmith? Yeah,
Yeah.
he'll be here for sure.
Because he's like, what time are you coming in? I go, I was planning on driving in Sunday. He goes, oh, I was coming in Saturday. I was hoping to see you. I was like, dag nabbit.
Well, we're having a hey Steve, Jeff, we're having a preview on Wednesday, I believe, is a webinar. Yes, it will be recorded. Yes, it was. We had to. It's busy here. It's busy here at Growth Drive. So we had to reschedule from last week because my flight got canceled when I was on an aircraft. Yeah, whatever. So
But is it busy in the Pacific Northwest?
it is. But who's in the Pacific Northwest?
Is it Steve?
No, Steve is in Charlotte.
Oh, Charlotte. Who am I thinking of in the north? Oh,
It's the Pacific Northwest of South Carolina.
no, it's the other former LX guy. What's his name? Paul Menig?
Paul Menning. Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
He's in
Sorry,
the
that's
Pacific
sorry,
Northwest.
that's
And Paul may show up. Jeff, good morning.
Morning.
So, hey guys, I'm going to give a couple, if it's okay with everyone, I have a couple of fun updates. One, the DCF calculation of value is going to be on the dev server for us to review later this week, which is very cool. Also, the team is moving forward with, and part of what's cool about the DCF, we are also putting a financial input. So we're centralizing all of the financial data into a single screen that, imagine the dashboards, et cetera, will be able to power out of that. But rather than entering revenue in level 1 and then being able to update it in level 2, we're bringing that all into a single module. And then, and that will feed the DCF calculation of value, which, and we're date stamping stuff. So you'll be able to tell at a glance, as you can in level 2, when the data was entered. And yes, Claire will be hounding you to, brings me to Claire. We're moving quickly. We're moving very efficiently forward with Claire, who's going to be rolled out in a few phases. But the first phase is there to assist you, and actually be quite creative, but is there to really assist you with terms, with concepts, with planning, with creating KPIs. She's going to be good to go. I believe she'll be commercial release before the summit. So that's all very cool. And we are coding in, not surprise anybody, the business flow scorecard. The guys are working on that as well. That's a logical output of the, it's fed by the financial data. It'll also obviously be date stamped, and it's designed to be accessed for weekly meetings. So that's all. I mean, super busy on the technology front. Then I just got back from the AMAA in Chicago, which was fantastic. Great event. It's small, 250 or 300 people, I'd say. Really well run. And their next conference, it's a conference, not a summit. Their next conference is here in Charleston in January. Food for thought. It is a very deal-centric, incredibly deal-centric event. So they literally, it's very deal-centric. So you can look it up. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, on Wednesday, we're doing a preview of the summit. We're going to be getting the committee back together, and now we're starting to put together the panels, and we'll be putting out requests to folks to participate on the panels. So I think that's everything I have from here. And the C3D review is at the end of August. So those of you on this call, those of you who are out there taking C3D, we're having the review on August. Look at events on Circle. I want to say August 25th, which gives you a full month. If you were contemplating C3D, you have a month to complete it. The fastest was approximately, I think, a little under 2 weeks. I think Tim Rohde completed it, as did Steve Duke in about, Steve, how long did you take? I go back and look, but 10 days, 11 days.
Yeah, a week plus.
Yeah. And the comment that comes back, and I absolutely love it, is that people are binging it. I'm like, good. That means you're either so bored that you're trying to slog through it in one sitting, or binging it. I like to think the latter. So, yeah. Okay, well, that's it from Charleston. What's on everyone's mind?
Hey, George.
Yes.
Before you drive on, could you just give another snippet on the AMAA?
Sure. So at that event, you have it's, I'd say, okay, I can go and look, but let's just say conceptually 75% investment bankers, buy side, sell side. There's some private equity in the room. And then, but the bulk is service providers, CPAs, attorneys. The guys at Steptoe and Johnson were there in force. What a great group! I really enjoyed them personally, and then professionally, they have a well-deserved stellar reputation. So when I was a lifetime ago, when I was when I worked at Skadden, they were one of the firms that we would come across in the M&A space. Where they've really specialized though is in middle market and pre-middle market. So they're our kinds of, it's Dinsmore, Steptoe and Johnson. They're our kinds of attorneys for our client, for our client set, our sweet spot. So and the AMAA show is organized around they have some thought leadership. I was on a panel with 4 other gentlemen. Moderated by an attorney in Boston on AI in the mergers and acquisition space. It's really fun conversation. And in fact, that exact group is going to be on the hot seat. So we'll do an extended play, and probably an hour-long set discussion about AI in this. And what's cool is you have some geeks, PhDs, and then you have some regular enthusiasts like me. And so that'll be cool. It's a good show if you are looking to learn, if you're looking to talk to people about specific transactions, and if you're looking to have a bunch of the service, I'd say 18 service providers who are service providers to the M&A world in one place. It's well worth it. And it's going to be at Charleston Place right here, like not 100 yards from where I'm standing right now.
So you're saying even sending all that other stuff you said aside, it's still a good excuse to go to Charleston.
Yes, but not a better excuse than
In January.
I said, the Growth Drive Summit on October 6th, 7th, and 8th at the Francis Marion Hotel. No, it's a good excuse. There will be some overlap though. There are people who are at the show who have committed to coming to the summit, and then I'll obviously we're going to sponsor. I sponsored the last, as did my good friend Christine Hollanden, and I will be a sponsor at the winter conference as well.
Who here's coming to the summit?
Okay.
Come on, Steve, jump in. The water's warm. It's deep.
Taking notes.
Floaty.
For Barry, it's too far to fly, I think. I mean, he's got to go over water and all that. I mean, and he doesn't have his water wings on this year.
No, I got a lot
Andy,
of
and Andy Weevil's coming. Hey, Barry, how are you, man? I didn't know who was on the. Okay, and Tim, and Jack Cox. Oh my God! And there we're going. Okay, wait a second. I've got to change the way I'm viewing this. I just thought it was okay.
Barry,
Rob,
don't leave me to be the only bald guy at the conference, please, Barry.
Let's do a round robin because we have some guys. We have a couple of new guys. Steve, Jack, especially Joseph is here all the time. But Steve and Jack, I'd love to give you a chance to say who you are and why clients hire you. Maybe we'll start with you, Steve, because you were on first.
Sure. Well, clients haven't hired me yet, and I actually can't launch till September. But so I'm new to the space. I've got about a decade of experience in the insurance world, and it wasn't until like April that someone at John Hancock kind of pointed me over to this exit planning thing, and then I started getting involved with EPI, and all this other stuff, and I actually found a really big passion for it because within that decade in the insurance space, I had helped a very small family-run health insurance agency become one of the top agencies in the state. And that was before I knew all of this stuff. So I found like that was kind of my golden age. And now I'm kind of getting into the profession of recreating that for business owner after business owner. And this is right where I want to be. I'm just getting started and I'm really excited.
Awesome, Steve. Well, welcome, man. Welcome to the community. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And my old friend, Jack, man, I'm thrilled to see you. Jack Cox.
He's
sorry
back
about
and
that.
alive.
Sorry about the hat, but I got a little time crunch today. I went for a walk, and so I got this out. So nice to see everybody. Nice to see many of you again. So I'm a CPA and I'm former CFO of some companies. And when all that ended, I kind of thought, I met a lot of people along the way who came to me trying to sell their company, and you try to be nice about it. That you're the big company CFO, and can you explain value? Can you explain this? And can you explain your justification for the purchase price? And when they couldn't explain value and the justification for the purchase price was, well, this is how much I owe my mother, I said, you know what? If I ever get some free time, I think this is a group that I can help. So I started out with small business brokering, which, IBBA, I think, defines Main Street up to about 5 million of enterprise value. That's like right where I sit. So did a couple of those until you get some people the deal they want, and they get to the edge of the cliff and they don't jump because they don't have a parachute. They don't know what they're going to do tomorrow. So I got into the exit planning concept of it as well. Readiness, not only company wise, but you personally. And that's what I do. And I also have done some buy side advisory. 2 weeks ago, a nice couple, a nice mother-son team, were looking to buy some property and some businesses on the property, and they were in love with it until I looked at it and explained it to them, and so they ran for the hills. So I mean, that's service too. You're keeping people from making bad decisions.
Yeah.
So thanks for the time, George, and nice to see everybody.
Hey, and I wanted to say two things. Jack was at a minimum at our first and second conferences back when they were conferences, and in where were we? In Boston. Oh God, in the room with all the columns. I'm like,
Yeah,
this is not the drawing, guys. No, there were no columns on the drawing. And Jack, I quote you, Jack, pretty regularly because unless I'm mistaken, and I'm just giving you attribution, but you were the one who said, "Listen, George, by the time we got the numbers, when you were a CFO for a bigger company, by the time we got the P&L, the balance sheet, and the cash flow, the reports at the end of the month, we already knew what was going to be in there. So we were really just checking it to make sure that what we did lined up with what we predicted,
Perfectly.
which is exactly what a well-run business should be doing. So I quote you, Jack, regularly. I think you're probably quoted in C3D.
That's absolutely correct. That's how we ran it.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Well, guys, I feel like we've got the band back together. Steve, welcome. Jack, welcome. And it's
Thanks,
good.
George.
So,
George, I actually have a quick question for you. Maybe it's not so quick, but it's a question.
please.
In terms of the DCF calculator that you're putting in there, obviously one of the key, assumptions that have to be in there is the WACC, cost of debt, cost of equity. How are you going to pull or extract that information out to be able to, give a little bit of meat to the DCF calculation?
It is a closely held secret. That's actually something we're putting in as a we're pulling a WACC using market data, and we are also allowing you to overwrite it if for some reason you want to overwrite it. And
So you're using industry averages is what I'm saying for based on the mixed code?
Yeah. Yes.
Got it. Okay. And in terms of the GPT itself, I understand that you've got mostly growth drive info in there, right? Based on what you've presented. What else are you going to be adding to it?
So that is a fabulous question. We have trained Claire so far to really focus on the growth drive methodology and process, and there are well over 300,000 words in her training manual. Okay, and it's all, I mean, there's a lot in there, and of course she has access to the entire methodology, the process. So think level 1, level 2, execute guidance, leadership, simulator. She has access to all of that. what we also have trained her to do is to go out and look, for example, if you're generating KPIs, right? Claire can generate KPIs to go out and do it in a way that she doesn't just go running off willy-nilly. And she's doing a really good job right now. You guys are going to train her, and we'll be putting out some resources to say, hey man, for example, if Claire tells you, Claire blatantly tells you something that's wrong and it's not a hallucination, she's just pulled the wrong intel, tell her. And it's easy. You just say, correction, the KPI should be blank. And that'll help keep her guided. But Joseph, right now we're really focusing on our methodology and process, everything that's in C3D, everything that's in my book, and then some select stuff from out in the world, some publicly available data, but it's pretty tight.
How are you planning to train it on the information that we provide? Because typically GPTs are siloed, right?
Yeah.
Are you pulling that data back into some other repository for future use or training?
So yes, but phase one, and she's going to be very tight. So she's going to really stick to her script, and then we're going to let her ad lib as we kick off the training wheels.
Got it.
I don't mean to be obtuse. I'm happy to.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. Tim, where are you? Wow, we have enough guys that I can't. Where's Tim? Oh, there he is.
Yeah, when I have a question about Claire, build on Joe's question. When I use Claire,
Yes.
am I training her too? Because I don't want her to build any bad habits.
Yeah, yes, Tim, in a way you are, because she's now learning what you're asking. So yes, in a way you are, because you're training her with what your queries are. What are you asking her to do? And we'll be tracking that in the background. Right now, we're tracking it somewhat when we move the GPT in-house. So Claire is going to disappear from the wild, and it's going to be embedded in Clarity.
It's really interesting. I was watching some congressional testimony and stuff on IP with AI, and it was fascinating to watch the arguments that big tech were making that, hey, we know that, especially Facebook, we know that we stole this stuff and they've got the emails about how they used the torrent and other stuff to get it off their servers. But it's going to be really fascinating to see, because it looks to me like there's a really groundswell within Congress and the Senate to claw back some of this just piracy that big tech has done with IP. It's going to be really, so that's all I'm saying is, when you, like Joseph got me thinking about it when you asked, I think it's a really great question. It's, how are you training it? And are you training it ethically? Not you, George, but just in general, because the temptation is always, well, it's already out there, which is what everybody's arguing. And the big argument that tech was making, Facebook, well, it's really a national security issue now. We have to win on AI. And since China steals all the IP in the world, we need to.
Well, I'm going to leave that one alone. But I will say that part of the design requirement, and this is at the top of the document, privacy and security and protection of IP. And those are overlapping. So we are protecting our own IP, and developing new IP, but making sure that your information, and guys, you can rest assured that your information, about your clients, that is in your lane. No one else is seeing that. Now, on an anonymized basis, Joseph, to your question, as we have always, on an anonymized basis, of course, we're going to look at the data set and say, hey, man, there are 14 manufacturing companies somewhat like yours, and here's what we're seeing. But there would never be any location, nothing that could be used to triangulate and identify who the specific company is. And super, super careful. I've been through compliance successfully with a number of organizations, and I intend to continue to be able to do that. So we take this very seriously.
George, when you're talking about the DCF model and the current valuation model, you talked about going deeper into the NAICS codes so that we could get more specific.
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Where are we on that?
It's funny you should ask. I was on with a data source, a smart guy, Bob Dunn at GF Data. Nice guy, smart, an absolute data geek in the best way. Yesterday, he's going to be on the podcast coming right up, and we're going to talk about some of this stuff. And we are, Eric, absolutely going to expand the data, widen. So additional NAICS, going out to 5 digits, I believe, with a reporting on, there are 2 transactions, right? Because, there aren't, when you get the more specialized you get, obviously the fewer transactions. And we're just going to say, hey man, at the 2 NAICS code, do you have an ocean of data? And when we get out this far, we're looking at 7 transactions, the way Profit Sense does. And in a way similar to Profit Sense. We're just going to give a numeric count. And Eric, the other thing we're doing is we're going deeper. So I've talked about this before, is starting to report on, imagine being able to say to your client, hey man, your business, and there's some other data that I'm not going to talk about here because it's a competitive advantage that we'll be releasing. But imagine being able to say to your client, here are the types of terms that we need to be prepared to see in a deal, right? Now here we're talking about M&A, right? We're talking about a sale to a third party. Terms for an internal transfer, that's a easier or less thorny, not easy. But hey man, you're gonna, here's what you're gonna see in terms of, a number of things. And GF Data is, because private equity is expanding and going deeper into the solidly into the pre-middle market. So not just middle market, but pre-middle market. We're starting to get data now. GF Data hasn't been in that game for a long time. Some others have. So watch us to keep adding data as we move forward. Eric, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, obviously, the strength of our tool is the assessment part. I would say the valuation part is less strong in that respect. And if we have the DCF in there and we have a little more depth in how we can, I'll give you an example. Mike and I looked at a common customer that we have, and we're valuing them in the finance and insurance area. Well, that's a really broad area. There's insurance companies in there. There's advisors in there, like, the kitchen sink might be in there, right? And so you're taking a multiple against something that's, like you could drive 6 semis through, right? And being able to go a little more, being able to turn the dial a little bit and go down even just 1 digit in the NAICS would change that remarkably.
It might. There is also risk there. So Eric, that is a great point. And what we know is that with our current two NAICS digit calculation of value, we are getting a very precise calculation of at high strategic capacity, and then a very precise prediction of transferable value, prediction of M&A price, right? Now that people love it. It's precise.
With the averaging that happens within that industry.
Exactly, because that's exactly right. The power of averages.
Well, the averaging is good in the sense of number of transactions. The averaging is bad in the sense of different types, the splitting of the industry, right? Comparing insurance agencies with FP&A, or I'm sorry, with financial advisors is not good, right?
I agree. I without digging specifically into those two, right now there's a ton of strategic value being given to wealth advisories, but that is never going to be part of our model because you cannot calculate strategic. Right. What we will start to report on are trends, industry
Yeah.
trends. Now, where your point's a very good one is your point's a very good one for a lot of reasons, including that if you're sitting across the table from a steel fabricator, right, and they're in manufacturing, well, that is manufacturing applies to things that don't look at all like a steel fabricator, and so your client's like, well, wait a second, we make injection molded plastic parts that go into computers, and they're very
Yeah.
very precise, and you're comparing me to the guy who's welding trailers out in an open lot in Texas. Hello, yeah, that, and so Eric, mindful of it.
Yeah.
Always being a slave to accuracy.
Right. I get it. And George, and part of it is being able to look at both options, right? Part of it is the ability to say, hey, it's worth the risk to be a little more precise than it is to stay in the general category and not be precise. It's accurate, but not precise.
What you will see when we expand that granularity, we are not going to walk away from the 2 NAICS digit calculation.
Yeah, right. So you'll be able to pick.
We'll add another one.
Right. That was my comment. Yeah.
Yeah, and AI. You imagine AI can comment. Let's just keep it high level. AI can comment on strategic pressures we're seeing, or strategic.
Right. I mean, one of the beauties, and I'm sure Steve could comment on this, but one of the beauties is transaction data does take care of that strategic availability, and right as an industry gets real focus on really being hot, like HVAC right now, the multiples show in the transactions that happen more recently, and you see that.
Yeah,
right.
And it's trailing. Yeah, I'm super excited about,
Yeah.
the collection of this data is also not what it was when I got into this business. When many of us got into this business, I've lost track. Let's go 14, 15 years. Yeah, thank you, Mike. I see you laughing uproariously over there. So, Steve, speaking of investment bankers.
Well, this isn't my question, but since you guys were talking about this, I would just caution everyone that if you really, really need to know the value of the company, then call someone like me up or Ed Wonke and get a real evaluation done.
100%. This is a calculation. Here we go. Thank you, Steve.
And if you're looking at an RIA, you might want to call me.
This is a calculation of value as that term is defined by the NACVA, the AICPA, and the ASA. It is a calculation of value. It is not an opinion of value. And Steve, heck yes, you, Ed, if you need something to go into,
And
This is my question.
Steve, by the way, great point. And obviously, you know that I know the difference between those.
Yeah.
But if we're putting it in the report, that's my concern, is that comes out in the level 1 report, right, that we generate. And so that's why it's critical that we have the ability to move that around to be as reasonable as we can when we're talking to them.
And speak to you, and I know you know this, and speak to your client too.
Yeah, in an intelligent way about what that number means, right? That number is not it's just like having somebody say what your house is worth. An appraiser can tell you what your house is worth. That doesn't mean you're going to get that at sale, right? We can do this conversation all day, right?
And that is all called out in the level 1 report. We enumerate,
Yeah, agreed. But you still got to communicate because they're not reading the fine print, right?
Yeah,
Bottom line, there is no more accurate prediction of value out there than we have proudly created here.
And George, by the way, no dispute of that. I want to be very, very clear. I love the tool.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're disputing.
I'm trying to give us a little more room to adjust it, right?
Sure.
No,
And you see, when we come out with DCF, we'll have 2 looks using DCF as well. Steve, go ahead, fire away, man.
Just a nitnoid question, and maybe Ed's probably the only one that could answer. Does anyone have an idea of how well BizMiner versus ProfitSense does in benchmarking?
Ed?
This miner has always been a very low end, weak source of information. Profit sense, I don't believe is much better than that. I think they're both very inferior products that don't deliver the quality of what we'd like to use. And I think what we're building here within our growth drive is going to identify a much more valuable piece of information as we look at larger businesses, because I'm finding I'm doing much more work in firms that are over 10 million, and both of the others just don't deal well with those as you get up to the larger numbers.
So,
Yeah.
so that begs the question. So if you need to do a benchmark today, Ed, what do you use?
Right now, I go to BV Resources and dig my data out of there.
Okay.
Yes.
You may not pay $3,000 a year for that, so it's.
Well, and let's make sure we're comparing apples to oranges. Profit sense does a discounted cash flow calculation of value, and uses some hard coded what I call slugs. Right? They're like, your whack is this. And in phase one of ours, we'll be doing a little bit of that.
George, what I'm looking for is to be able to benchmark in terms, if for this particular industry, SIC number, character, what should your gross margin be? What should your, your employment costs be, and blah, 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 and all that sort of stuff for benchmarking.
And Ed, you're getting that from BV?
Yep.
Love it.
Because I use that with the IRS table too, so I combine the two of them.
Hey, Ed, do they have RIAs and like independent financial firms in that database?
Usually.
Okay.
What about IBIS world, Ed? Too broad?
IBIS gives me an industry information, but it doesn't give me the specifics.
Right. It doesn't go. It doesn't go narrow.
You're looking at. I look IBIS and Hoover's are awesome for the industry. They give you, I would define as the first two digits and give you a nice collective.
So it's back to the comment I was making before. Yeah.
Precisely. Exactly, Eric.
Yeah. Got it.
George, quick question. What is, maybe you or anybody else in the panel over here can answer, what do you use a DCF for? What do you use it for?
I'm going to pump that one to the group.
Weak.
The textbook would say it's one of three ways to value a business.
Yeah.
I understand, but practically speaking, when you're dealing with clients, what are you using the DCF for? Because obviously, if you're putting it somewhere in the range of values, perhaps as a someone who's a financial buyer who's looking to buy the company, I understand. But realistically, it's not a very good barometer for what the company is truly worth when it's going to market. So my question is, how are you using it, or why are you using it at all?
Joseph, my simple answer would be check figure. I want to see 2 or 3 different ways to value something, and then I want to see if they're all coming together or not. And I understand the differences of how they're calculated. And again, I defer to Ed on this as the master valuation person on the call, but I'm using them to compare. It's almost like talking to 3 different people who are looking at a car. Hey, what do you think this is worth? What do you think this is worth, and why? And I want to hear all their different opinions, and then I want to come up with my own opinion.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at the income approach versus a market approach, it depends on the quality of the data that's going into the source. And often GF data has some better market data than BV Resources, but the cost to access that data is excessive, and I can't afford to do that. So I use the one I can afford to pay for. And likewise, when you look at a DCF, you do that, and you then have to apply a company-specific risk. Well, the one nice thing is Claire can gather all of the relevant things, but then someone's got to put in company-specific risks. And a nice benefit is if you run through the very first clarity questionnaire, you get an indication of how risky is this business? And based on that, on a scale of 1 to 3, where should that be factored into determining your discount rate?
And I agree with everything
Yeah.
you said. I will tell you why I'm putting it. There are a couple of reasons. We're putting it into clarity because one, for internal transfers, I should face Joseph. Joseph, you asked the question. For internal transfers, the DCF starts becoming the true value of the business because it reflects the debt that the business will be able to service, and assuming that the current ownership is going to hold some or all of the note for the transfer, and that applies
George, from a
Yeah.
practical point of view, though,
Yes.
okay? I mean, my experience is with an internal transfer, it can be used, DCF can be used. You can develop your own methodology that's agreed upon by the parties. Isn't it more of a benchmark to have our users say, okay, if I do this, this is what happens to the DCF, this kind of cash flow of my business.
Yeah.
But when you go to sell the business, it's up to the buyer sometimes to come back and say, this is what I'm willing to pay based on this, statements and due diligence. So isn't it really more of a benchmark than anything else for this purpose?
100%.
Yeah.
And you're gonna, and a DCF will be in the file, right? Will be in the data room. There's going to be, we would expect to find a DCF in there, even though if it's not guiding the discussions about price, and there are a couple of other things that having that. There are other things that we want to start collecting, right? So we want to start seeing downstream impact of making changes inside, as we make changes with our clients and track those in level 2, we're going to see some downstream impacts on P&L, balance sheet, and cash flow. And Barry, to your point, a long conversation you and I have been having, how do those ratios, without jumping into CFO land, but leaning a little into CFO land, how do some of those ratios help guide a CEO as they are leading their business forward?
George, the reason I asked the question is the following. Personally, I've done about a dozen acquisitions over the last 30 years for myself. So the way I usually approach it when I'm having a conversation with a seller is pretty simple. It's you choose a price, I choose the terms, right? If I choose a price, you choose the terms. So that's why I'm trying to understand within the context of what we as a group are using the DCF for. I'm trying to understand if it's to give the client a sense of, what a financial buyer will pay. It's really, really tough. It's not very helpful. That's why I'm pushing everybody a little bit over here, because I really want a better understanding of what people are using the DCF for. Even as a quick check of what? To check whether or not the valuation that Growth Drive is giving from a market perspective makes sense.
That's my answer.
I just don't want to throw it in front of a client or a prospect and actually confuse them in terms of what is function and purposes.
And a quick comment, Joseph, I'm in strong agreement with you. What you are not going to see is, oh, look, I put my hand up. What you're not going to see is it showing up in any of the printable reports near term, for exactly the reason you just described.
I actually think this is a really interesting conversation about DCF, and Ed, you made a great point about the quality of the data. What we haven't talked about in this whole conversation is the assumptions that are built in to all these things.
Exactly.
I see that all the time. I see people generating a biz equity report because they took numbers off of a tax return and generated a valuation. And they didn't even think about what the adjustments might be to EBITDA. They're not looking at any of the relevant things, like what are the assumptions that are built into this whole process that we're not even getting to because we're talking about the tool. And there's a whole bunch of assumptions that happen that have much more impact and have less visibility than what tool we're using.
You know what, Eric, I agree with you. And that's kind of why I went back to originally asking the question to George. And for me, look, some of them you can actually pull off the financial statements, assuming that they're reasonable. I mean, in terms of free cash flow, whatever, operating margins, stuff like that. But, the cost of capital, the WACC itself, cost of debt, cost of equity, that's not something that can be easily imputed. I mean, a number has to be, you have to provide it with a number or somehow have a formula for deriving that number. And considering that's probably the most important and most critical element in terms of, developing a DCF, if you don't have something good,
well,
if you don't have good numbers with that, then you're just creating something,
I'll give a really concrete example, Joseph.
Even the growth rate, right? I mean, George, you're doing, or Eric, whatever, anybody out there, you're guessing what the future growth rate of the company is going to be. And, George, I heard from the last one, you've capped it at 10%. But I mean, we know, we speak to business owners, oh yeah, I'm going to grow 30% a year or 25, some crazy numbers. If you put that into a DCF calculator, I mean, you're going to get the numbers will be retarded.
Yeah,
numbers. Yeah.
We absolutely limit the number in the DCF calculation of value. There are two. That's one place where we limit exuberance. The other place where we limit exuberance is in the module that's now in Value Planner, where we're saying, okay, how fast do you plan on growing the business? We cap strategic capacity, the increase in strategic capacity at 10. Compound annual, and we allow them to put up to 50, but you're the advisor at the table, guys and gals. And, if your client says we're going to grow at 50%, they better be a fairly small company, because 50% compound annual is.
No, but it's more insidious than that. The higher the growth rate, the higher the risk the company. It actually has an opposite effect.
Yeah,
exactly. A year is less stable.
Joseph, this is my point about Joseph. This is my point about the assumptions that we're building in. We can go to some book and look up what the WACC rate should be or whatever, but it's not taking into consideration some of the other things. Let me give you guys just a really concrete example. I went to look at buying a company. Somebody did a valuation with it. 6 years they put in the valuation, 3 current year, last 3 years, and then in the 3 out years there was a high and a low. CPA takes the valuation, throws out the low, keeps the high end, and doesn't even look at the current 3. So I'm looking at it from my side as a buyer, and I go, well, first of all, last 3 years are pretty consistent, and the run rate is X. Now, when I value all 6 years, when I value the 3 years, I don't get anywhere near what I get when I leave the high end that pulls it up, right? And these are the kind of assumptions you run into all the freaking time.
Yeah, Eric, and that's simulator is designed to boil the BS out of it, because we allow them to put in, I'm going to grow at 20%. Wait, put that in, and now we're plotting it against their actual performance. Heck yes.
Yeah.
Jack, I saw you burst out with laughter.
I think it was something Joseph said. But yeah, I mean, I hear what he's saying about DCF. I've used it one time on the basis that it's just not used in my market. And a large hospital was looking to buy this business, and we put a lot of thought into it. We put a lot of thought into the future plan, and it withstood scrutiny, and they accepted it. And during the course of the conversation, they went from valuing the company from 2.3 million to 6 million because they believed in the DCF and the plan. But that was a one-off. Businesses are this. If you're going to grow at 20%, if I'm the buyer, I tell the guy, why are you selling this?
Yeah.
You
That's-
got to.
Interesting question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can do it, if you can get 20% out of it, do it.
Yeah. Because you're now outperforming the market.
And what's the capital expense to get that 20%?
So now you're getting into a completely an additional and related topic, Eric, that is hang on, give me time.
Sorry, I had to throw the wrench into the.
No, it's not a wrench. That's an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Give me time.
Yeah.
Steve, man, go ahead.
Well, I want to go in I don't want to be the naysayer that I've been listening to here. My investment banker trainer in the M&A space counseled me to always do at least market and income valuations of a business.
Yeah.
Now, all the other stuff about, the imponderables and the risk and all that is absolutely true. And an astute M&A advisor will factor a lot of as much of that in as he can, or she. So it is not a strictly academic exercise.
No.
It's not a useless exercise. It is a valid and the appropriate way to value a business. Now, beyond that, obviously, I don't want to negotiate with Joseph to sell my business because he's obviously an astute guy. But aside from that, if I'm selling a business, I'm going to value the business two ways.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, the M&A advisor is doing a disservice to his client. If his client is growing faster than the market, then he damn well better be doing a discounted cash flow analysis to value it. Yeah. And arguing with the buyers that he deserves a premium because he's got a high growth business. Risk factored in and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Steve, you make a fantastic point. The reason we are all valuable is none of this is an academic, numbers only, grab a simple formula and plug in the numbers kind of deal. And that's the point I think all of us are making collectively. Another deal I did, two group seller and buyer investment bankers, seller's investment banker at our request, we're in the deal. We told the seller to get an investment banker because the buyer had one. We're talking through the deal and they're all negotiating on the deal. And I go to the client and say, you're not valuing the deal correctly because you just renegotiated your largest contract in the last 6 months. So I don't freaking care what the financial statements say. The value of the deal has to do with the go forward earnings of the business, not the past. Right. So again, you can take all the freaking formulas in the world to calculate what this business should be worth, but they were all wrong because the valuation had to do with, let's get where we are going to be and let's argue that. And because of that, we cleared nearly $1 million more in the deal because we valued it correctly. Has nothing to do with DCF, has nothing to do with market values. It has everything to do with understanding where the value is in the business. And Steve, I know you know this. This isn't at you. This is why we're all valuable, guys and gals. No gals on the phone.
Right. Just a stupid analogy. We're taking all of this information and putting it into the Ouija board and gaining insight to try to come to our best decision, best conclusions.
All of the things we're using, both the backward-looking deal values and the forward-looking discounted cash flow, all of those things are tools in our toolbox to adjust our judgment to come up with the right number. None of them are intended to replace the judgment that we all have.
Absolutely. And the clarity is is useful to investment bankers, but that is not what it was designed to do. And what it was designed to do is to power you as a management consultant, business coach, accounting professional, fractional CFO, to educate your client about the strategic capacity and its impact on their ability to grow the business, and its strategic capacity's impact on their ability to sell the business, and its impact on transferable value. That, and I think we are, squarely in our, staying in our lane on this.
Yeah.
And investment bankers who are using the tool, and there are many of you, are saying, you know what, this is, what you sit down and you say, we're going to have to, first of all, willing buyer, that's the price. Well, let's use this for guidance. This is accurate. And now what we're going to do is we're going to build a sim that argues loud and long for more value, right? So, and we're not going to go to try to get to the deal table until our strategic capacity gets up to, 70, but the closer to 85, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. If that makes sense, I hope.
George, great tool that you have. That's why, not the only reason why we're all here, but a chunk of the reason why we're all here. And I'm happy that you're making it even more useful by adding a DCF and by adding some depth and some breadth to the calculation so that we can use it in creative ways. And that's really what I'm advocating for. Is I want to be able to turn the dials a little bit more so I can look at it a couple of different ways and discern with judgment where the best thing is to advise my client.
Well, and Eric, you bring me to a kind of a point that I'll go back to the AMAA summit, and we're sitting in front of the plenary, and we're talking about AI. And I made the point, and a lot of people in the room, one of the guys on the panel had done a sort of an informal or a quick survey of a bunch of investment banking friends and how much time and effort have they put into AI? And the answer was this much. Great. So then we talked about, how to not get left behind and how to do it right. And I posited, and this is really relevant to this conversation, that you really need to have a vision for what you want your tool. All AI is a tool. All Clarity is a tool. You need a vision for what that tool will do down the road, and and then a mission and a strategy, and then tactical execution. And DCF, guys, without giving away our strategy, but DCF is part of a broader strategy. DCF, it's easy for us, given where we're going, to create a DCF calculation of value. I may eventually give you a button to turn it off. That's where Clarity is going to go. But for right now, it's another look at value. By the way, if you're using biz equity, get rid of it. Right? If you're using capitalize, get rid of it. Those are both DCF calculations of value. We don't replace profit sense. Profit sense is a different animal that happens to calculate a DCF and does it in a very accurate, unsophisticated way. It uses slugs. So, meaning it uses placeholder computations.
Are snails as tasty as slugs, or which is better?
I have not eaten slugs, although I've been offered slugs. Snails are absolutely delicious.
Yeah, a good French escargot.
Yeah, the escargot is absolutely perfect.
Oh yeah, and drowning in butter. And if you really want to treat, you take mussels and you cook them. You use but there's my good Belgian background coming to the fore.
Oh, you got to have
Guys,
the mussels.
Unbelievable. We just talked. I looked up at the clock. I'm like, oh my God, it's 10:23. Or, oh my gosh, sorry. Can we do a quick round robin key takeaways? Yes. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm going to
George, I'll start.
You'll start. Okay. I was going to start with Steve and Jack, but go ahead.
I love the fact that, all the different, Barry jumped in, Joseph jumped in, like all the usual characters jumped in, including this character. and we had a really interesting conversation about something that pulled, you know, we didn't leave the chicken whole, we pulled it apart, right? Like we really understood what's in there and talking about it. And that's what my favorite thing about these kind of conversations. We could be really superficial and just say the usual things. And I love that this group doesn't just accept the assumptions we ask. So that's my favorite part.
Love it, Eric. Thank you, man. I'm gonna make sure that Steve and Jack. Steven, I'm gonna start with you. Key takeaway from this call.
So, like, obviously, it's my first time here, and one of the biggest takeaways is just kind of getting immersed in everything, and especially with this conversation around DCF, and not only using it as a benchmark, but like whether you even use it in your conversations, with the business owner.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really, really good points, really good things to consider, and then the point about us using our judgment, and along with these benchmarks and these data points, to really figure out, where the business is and how to view it is a very strong position that we find ourselves in.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. How about you, Jack?
So this is a really knowledgeable group on the concept of valuation. The thing that, and I'm involved with somebody right now, it's a current employee looking to buy the business, and everybody is going along, proceeding along. But I keep on saying to people, but we always forget that the person who's going to write the biggest check at the closing table is the bank, and are they buying this story, and are they as adept as this group in perceiving valuation?
No.
Some are, some aren't. I don't know the banker on this deal yet. And so I'm just cautiously optimistic, but that's a big wild card. It's 80% of the purchase price is what we're hoping they're coming to the table with.
And their risk profile is much lower than the entrepreneur as well, Jack.
Yeah. Good point, Eric, because the guy that's buying this is embedded in the business. He loves it. And the banker, I don't know.
He's afraid to stub his toe.
Strategic capacity, Jack. If I haven't sent you the white paper, have you seen the white paper that we just dropped?
I have not.
Okay, I'll shoot it to you when we're done.
Thank you.
Who would like to go next? Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Stephen.
I'll go. And basically piggyback on Eric's comments. It's always fun to have a good intellectual discussion.
Yeah.
And this group provides that.
Are you going to toss it to, Steve?
Well, first, I just hope I don't catch the no hair thing. But I'll toss it.
You look great, bald, Steve.
Thank you. People call me a slug too. So anyway, Joseph.
Okay, so I'm glad we had the conversation on DCF. I think it was very helpful. I think the one thing I pulled out of this conversation, which I think needs to become a follow-up conversation, much more practical from the perspective of dealing directly with clients and delivering the services and value that we do, is to have a deeper dive on the conversation of KPIs and where we're sourcing our data for comparatives. I think that's key. Really, at the end of the day, if our job is to help them grow the value of their business, we really need to have a good sense in terms of what the key KPIs really are for that, that client and their markets and their industries.
Yeah, I guess. Thanks, Joseph. Who's up? Anybody else want to share? I know we're at the bottom of the hour.
I'll go. I really appreciate hearing all the different perspectives. It helps me tremendously to be conversational about the topic. I've had people press me on, well, where does this value come from, and what do you mean? And so I learned more about that today, along with sort of my ability to contrast the different approaches. And we don't diagnose their absolute value right now, but we know we want it to get better. And so this conversation's really helped me describe all of that.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim.
I'll toss it to Jeff.
Great. Thank you. So I apologize for talking over everybody during this session, but this is one of the best mini master classes on valuation I've ever attended, maybe the absolute best. Love the depth and candor. As a fractional interim CEO, my excitement is around working with people like you so that once we identify and have evaluated the different methods, someone like me can come in and help them execute and do the very things we're talking about so that we have a benchmark and then it goes up here. So great stuff. Loved it.
Thank you, Jeff. Barry?
Well, first of all, I gave myself a haircut this morning, so that's why.
Looking great.
I found the conversation, fascinating. I want to thank Joseph for really bringing it up. But my biggest not concern or challenge is explaining this to an unsophisticated business owner. They have an idea of what the business is worth. They have an idea of what they need to get out of the business, and I think that's where it starts. And then our job is to build on that, but bringing it down to a level that is practical. Because most owners, at least that I've run into and being around for a long time, is they don't really understand the value. They barely understand their financial statements.
Yeah.
So it's really the communication with the client, with our client, that's important. Yeah, we can have high level conversations with the investment bankers, but I think that's really where it gets important.
Amen, Barry. And there's something I haven't shared, but we'll talk about next time about Claire. Ed, you are the last man standing. We're at 33, so anybody needs to drop off. Ed, thanks for coming to Chicago. Thank you, Barry, as well. Barry and Ed were with me at the AMAA. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Go ahead, Ed.
I think it's appropriate that we do take some time like this to discuss what the different approaches to value do present, and that we understand what they are, so that when we talk to a client and we tell them, when you're looking at what you expect and would like to get out of your business, we tell them that based on the analysis that we've applied with, it was either DC or market, it's not ready to get there yet. So if you want that much out, then here's what we've got to do in order to move it from where you are to where you want it to be. And I think that's often the owner has a want to be location. And sometimes it's unrealistically, shall I say, set because of listening to people that have said they've sold their business. But my, relationship goes back to one in 1988 when I was doing a speech for the National Pest Control Association. And one of the gentlemen in the audience said that he'd buy anybody in the audience's company at that day for $1 million. And as you guys mentioned, what were the terms? I'll pay you $1 a year.
I love that, Joseph. You set the price, I set the terms, or I set the price.
You got it. So the key is that these approaches to how we calculate the expected value may not be what the owner can get right now, but that's the foundation upon which we're going to work with them to help guide them and move them to that point.
100%. This is planning, right? We are trying to get to intercede in this process 3 years, 5 years prior to, and you're absolutely right, Ed. Thank you, 100%. By the way, Ed, and then we had Rob Waring. We're in the value, the value portion of the C3D certification, and we have a robust conversation around this exact topic. So, all right, guys, gentlemen, no ladies this week. Shame. Thank you very much. Have a great week. Any thoughts you get out of these conversations? I know I get some emails afterwards. Let me know how I can help. And I hope you all have a great week.
Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you, George.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much, George.
Next week.
Pleasure to meet everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
This episode is brought to you by the Growth Drive Summit. Our theme this year is building a profitable advisory business. Join us in Charleston, South Carolina, October 6th, 7th, and 8th. Expand your network, learn new skills, and generally have a good time. This is a top-rated event. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you.